Think of someone in your life who is perfectly kind. They smile whenever they see you. They say all the right things. They are generous, available, always there. And yet, something feels off. You can't name it. But after every interaction, you feel just slightly worse than before. A little smaller, a little more indebted, a little more uneasy. You're not imagining it. Friedrich Nietzsche spent years studying what he called the great performance of human virtue. And what he found was disturbing. Some of the most dangerous people in your life will never raise their voice. They will never be openly cruel. They will wear the mask of kindness and wear it perfectly. Today, 7 behaviors that Nietzsche identified as signs of false kindness. 7 things to look for, not in enemies, but in people who call themselves your friends. Stay until the bonus at the end. It is probably the sign you have been least prepared to recognize in yourself. Sign 1. They help you and they never let you forget it. At first, this person seems like a gift. They show up, they offer, they give, sometimes before you even ask. But watch what happens over time. Every favor quietly becomes a debt. The help is never just help. It is a transaction, logged, remembered, and eventually collected. After everything I've done for you, I was always there when you needed me. You know I would never ask if I hadn't given so much. Nietzsche was clear on this. True generosity gives and forgets. It does not keep score. It does not present a bill. When someone's help comes with invisible strings attached, when their generosity makes you feel smaller instead of supported, you are not dealing with kindness. You are dealing with an investor, and eventually they will expect a return. Sign 2, they never disagree with anyone. On the surface, this person seems wonderfully easy. They agree with you. They validate you. They tell you exactly what you need to hear. No conflict, no friction, no uncomfortable moments. But Nietzsche saw through this immediately. A person who never disagrees is not peaceful. They are afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid that a single honest word might cost them their place in your life. The problem is this. A relationship built entirely on agreement is a relationship built on performance. There is no real truth in it. There is no real trust, because the moment you need honest counsel, the real kind, the kind that costs something to give, this person will smile and tell you what you want to hear. Nietzsche believed that real kindness sometimes requires the courage to say the uncomfortable thing. The person who never does that is not kind. They are careful. Sign 3. A different person. The moment you leave the room. In your presence, warmth, encouragement, loyalty. The moment you leave, a completely different conversation. This is one of the clearest signs Nietzsche identified, and one of the oldest forms of human cowardice. He called it resentment, the feeling that cannot be expressed directly, so it travels underground. It becomes gossip, whispered criticism, the comment that just so happens to reach you secondhand. Here's the rule Nietzsche would give you. A person who speaks freely about others behind their back will speak freely about you. Without exception, not because they are uniquely malicious, but because that is simply who they are. The smile they give you is the same smile they gave the last person they discussed. Sign 4, the permanent victim. This one is harder to spot, because it hides behind self-sacrifice. This person gives, they do, they show up, they go out of their way, and they make absolutely sure you know it. I've always put everyone else first. Nobody ever appreciates what I do. After everything I've sacrificed, Nietzsche identified this as one of the most effective power strategies available to a person who refuses to seek power directly. They do not demand control. They earn it through guilt. Every sacrifice becomes leverage. Every act of generosity becomes a claim on your behavior. And if you ever disappoint them, there is a full account ready to be read back to you. When kindness is used to generate guilt, when someone's suffering is deployed to manage you, that is not goodness. It is control wearing goodness as a costume. Sign 5. Obsessed with being seen as good. There is a difference between being good and needing to be seen as good. The falsely kind person does not always know the difference. What they want, often desperately, is the reputation, the image, the universal approval. To be the person everyone agrees is generous patient, moral, irreproachable. Nietzsche called this the vanity of virtue, the performance of goodness for an audience that must never stop applauding. Watch what happens when their image is questioned. Watch the reaction when someone fails to see their generosity, when someone does not respond with appropriate gratitude. Authentic people accept that not everyone will like them. They are not rattled by it. The person performing goodness, they are devastated by it, because the approval is not a bonus, it is the entire point. Sign 6. The compliment that stings. Listen carefully the next time this person congratulates you. Wow, I honestly didn't expect you to pull that off. You're really lucky things worked out the way they did. Good for you. Not everyone could have done that, I suppose. At first glance, a compliment. On closer inspection, something else entirely. Nietzsche understood that envy rarely announces itself honestly. It does not say, "Your success makes me feel lesser." It says, "Congratulations," framed in a way that quietly diminishes what you achieved. The luck framing, the surprise framing, the faint praise framing. Each one is a small needle, wrapped in a smile. Learn to listen to the space between the words. That is where the truth usually lives. Sign 7. Their kindness has an expiry date. This is probably the clearest test of all. While you are useful, while you are connected, ascending, offering something they want, the attention is constant. The warmth is real. The calls come. The messages land. Then something shifts. The dynamic changes. You no longer have what they came for. And quietly, without confrontation or explanation, they disappear. Nietzsche believed that a person's true character is never revealed in the good times. It is revealed the moment there is nothing left to gain. Real kindness does not require an incentive. It does not need a return on investment. It stays when staying costs something. Fake kindness evaporates the moment the reward does. And the silence it leaves behind tells you everything the smiles never did. Bonus sign. Kindness as moral superiority. This is the most dangerous sign of all, and it is the most dangerous because it is the hardest to see in yourself. Some people are not kind because they care. They are kind because being kind makes them feel above others. Every act of generosity becomes evidence. Every sacrifice becomes proof of their superior character. And quietly, constantly, they are keeping score. Not of what others owe them, but of how much better they are. Nietzsche warned against what he called the morality of pride. The person who uses goodness not to serve others, but to elevate themselves above them. You have met this person. They make you feel vaguely judged by their generosity. Their patience makes you feel impatient. Their forgiveness makes you feel unforgiving. Because that is the effect they are aiming for, even if they would never admit it. Even if they have convinced themselves it isn't true. Nietzsche's warning is sharp and worth sitting with. True kindness does not need an audience. It does not catalog its own goodness. It does not remind you, through posture, through implication, through the patient sigh, of how much better it is than you. When kindness starts to feel like a verdict, ask yourself who is really being served. Here's what Nietzsche leaves us with. False kindness is not the opposite of real kindness. It is an imitation of it, precise, practiced, and often indistinguishable at first glance. It uses the same language, the same gestures, the same warmth in the eyes. The difference is never in the surface. It is always in the motivation, and motivations take time to reveal themselves, which is why Nietzsche's most important advice was not to be suspicious of kindness, but to pay attention. Does this person's kindness make you feel more yourself or less? Does it ask something of you in return, or does it give freely? Does it remain when there is nothing in it for them? Those 3 questions will tell you more about a person's character than years of their most generous behavior. Protect your trust, not with walls, but with discernment. That is what Nietzsche called authentic strength. If this video made you see someone differently, drop a comment. Which of the 7 signs hit closest to home? We read every single one. Subscribe to Booked Wisdom for weekly philosophy and psychology content delivered simply, honestly, and without performance. See you in the next one. See